Good afternoon, everybody. We are Team AHO, an assessment for potential local food assessment for the International Sonoran Desert Alliance in AHO, Arizona. I'm Aaron, my teammates Sean and Susanna. Welcome to the critics and all guests, and especially our viewers on the World Wide Web. In AHO, and probably elsewhere.
There are at least 3 of them, it looks like.
Okay. So, how can a food system address economic and health challenges in a small Sonoran Desert town? The International Sonoran Desert Alliance, ISDA, is looking to try to figure that out, along with the AHO Regional Food Partnership, which comprises a number of members. Desert Sinai Community Health Center, the AHO School District, and Pima County Health Department are involved with interests in improving community health. The Tohono O'odham Nation Cultural Center and Museum, as well as the Piachet O'odham Alliance, are interested in looking at food from a cultural perspective in the region. The AHO Community Support Agriculture Group, AHO Community Garden Consortium, and the Arizona Cooperative Extension are interested in bringing agriculture and good quality fresh foods to town. AHO Botanical Company is a local business who's interested in economic opportunity around agriculture and growing food. And the Pima County Natural Resources Parks and Recreation is on board as a local land management organization. So the Regional Food Partnership and Team AHO and Conway are working together to evaluate the existing food needs of the region, assessing the potential for food production in context with the surrounding area, and investigating existing resources to identify future infrastructure needs for food processing, distribution, waste management, and education. So where is AHO anyway? It's in the southwest, in Arizona, in southern Arizona, near the Mexican border. It's the Sonoran Desert is a very intense place. It doesn't get much rain. The average rainfall in basically the entire 1900s is just under 8.5 inches. The yearly average high temperature for the year is 84 degrees. In the summer, it reaches well over 100. Last July, it hit 114 degrees. Despite these harsh conditions, the O'odham people have subsisted in the region for centuries, wild harvesting foods, growing drought and heat-tolerant crops, and trading with their regional neighbors. AHO is basically an old mining town. It was started by a mine. From 1916 until 1985, Phelps Dodge employed thousands of people in the town. At one point in its heyday in the 50s and 60s, the mine was the largest source of metallic ores in the country. A strike in 1985 sent the population of AHO plummeting. Between 1980 and 1990, the population halved itself. It was cut by 50%. Recently, the population started to inch up as people have found AHO as an affordable and beautiful sunny place. There's a saying we heard a couple times around there. AHO is where the summer goes for the winter. So, who lives in AHO? The median age is just over 50 years old. About a third are of retirement age. Another third of the residents speak a language other than English at home. Almost a quarter are veterans, some of whom are employed by a nearby sheriff training station as well as border patrol station nearby. And there are over 800, as of last count, in the last census, over 800 vacant homes in the area. This multicultural town is aging, and the high vacancy rate can physically fragment neighborhoods. But how can food be used to unite this culturally diverse group? The triple threat, we've been calling it, that's been affecting AHO residents, diabetes, obesity, and poverty. The Tohono O'odham Nation, right next to AHO, has the highest adult onset diabetes rate in the world, over 40%. AHO's rate is about 10%. At least over 30% of the children in the AHO school are obese in every grade. The highest rate last year was a 6th grade, almost 60%. And the per capita income in Ajo is about $7,000 less than the U.S. average, just under $15,000. Half of the working age adults in Ajo are jobless. But despite these difficulties, Ajo is looking towards the future. The Ajo Regional Food Partnership is looking at food and food security as a way to address the challenges and move forward. So food security is sometimes referred to as having food that's accessible, affordable, and nutritious, but it goes just beyond calories. It's been defined as a condition in which all community residents obtain a safe, culturally acceptable, nutritionally adequate diet through a sustainable food system that maximizes community self-reliance, social justice, and democratic decision-making. So the first step towards looking at food security and all of these issues is where food in Ajo currently comes from and that food system.
So to understand agriculture for Ajo, we need to look at the region, the broader region. And as you can see, Ajo is in the middle here. All these circles represent places that have commercial scale agricultural operations already going. Crops such as squash, mesquite, melons, olives, oats are all being grown quite nearby, but none of these crops are sold in Ajo. In fact, 95% of the crops sold in Arizona, or raised in Arizona and New Mexico, are exported out of those states. So where is food in Ajo coming from currently? As you can see, national distributors come into Phoenix, and then trucks bring food down to Ajo and to local outlets. It's a 112-mile trip, and there are many people who drive to Phoenix to buy groceries as well because of the wider availability of shopping options. There is a CSA currently going in Ajo that they buy out of Glendale, and that comes into town once a week. And there's another way to go to Tucson, another place where there's quite a few markets, but most people don't go there for regular shopping. Sonoyta, Mexico is just south of the border, and some individuals do buy groceries there. Some of the restaurants are also buying supplies there, but it's not a major source of supplies for people in Ajo. Again, 97% of the food in Arizona and New Mexico is imported to the state. So using produce as an indicator of nutritional value in food, we examined where the outlets in town where people can obtain groceries. This is the IGA store, and they sell produce regularly. The other location is at the Curley School, where the site of the CSA drop-off, and also the local food bank. There's a small farmers market that's been happening once a week also. The food bank provides produce when it's available, but currently demand exceeds availability by quite a bit. People also do quite a bit of shopping at the local convenience and dollar stores, but the volume, the quality of the food there, it tends to be very highly processed, so it's not necessarily the best nutritional quality. The restaurants in town, the amount of produce supplied at those locations is variable. There are a number of residential and community gardens in town. There's two community gardens currently. One is in the early stages of development and has yet to produce crops, but the other is at the Curley School, and it quickly grew from 5 plots to 20, so there's quite a bit of interest. The local school has also started a small agricultural project, and there are again a number of small residential gardens, but we don't know how many there are. So water in this really arid environment is one of the most significant limiting factors for agriculture. This represents the Basin and Range aquifer system. The mining company owns the 2 wells.
Can you get someone to turn on the light real quick?
Push the button.
And these 2 wells are owned by the mine. They supply the majority of the town's water supply. The water is sold to 2 other utility companies in town as well. The Basin and Range aquifer system is huge, and it is drawn on by several other communities, including Gila Bend, which is just to the north. And in that location, they've had such heavy drawdown that it's caused major damage to the riparian areas. Also, right now, the only other significant water source locally is in the arroyo system during the monsoon season. These are these brown lines. They get flooded when the rains come. So, currently the waste disposal system is at the sewage treatment plant. They take the wastewater and they dump it onto the mine tailings. They're disposing of 110 to 210,000 gallons per day at that location. There are plans to discontinue that approach to managing the water. They're going to be putting in a clarification system, and that will bring the water up to a B grade agricultural level of water, which they don't have plans to use at this time, but theoretically they could be put to use for farm irrigation or to maybe reestablish some zero riparian habitat that's been so impacted in the area. Traditionally, the auction method of agriculture was used by the Tohono O'odham people as a way to manage this extremely limited water resource. What they did was plant their crops at the mouths of the arroyos, and a really sophisticated system of canals and channels was used to disperse the water over a large area and make maximum use of this of the water. In Tucson, there's a man by the name of Brad Lancaster who's been adapting some of these methods for a urban environment. And he's really brought attention to these ideas, and it's really been catching on in Pima County, which is where Aho is located. He's completely transformed his urban Tucson neighborhood by doing things like cutting curbs and directing stormwater into swales where native plants can provide habitat, shade, food, and reduce flooding. Other ways that they're managing water in that area are to collect root water and store it in tanks. Here the vegetation shades and keeps the water cool. And again, another option is gray water reuse. This is a community washing machine in Tucson where several neighbors all use the same equipment, and as you can see, this is a system that diverts the used water to various trees in the yard, and so by that way you're getting the maximum use out of the water. Another thing we need to look at in terms of agriculture in the area is soils, so Sean's going to talk about that.